SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
First of all, we go to 3-1, and we enter what I typically call here phase 3 of our program, which is in October, meat of our schedule. So we got Northwestern up next, and talk about that obviously on Tuesday. As far as the game yesterday, when you look at the football game, obviously towards the end of the game, missed losing the onside kick, but I thought our defense played extremely well. We stopped the run again. Did not give up a rushing touchdown. Handled all the sudden changes that were thrown at us. We had 6 3-and-outs. We really only had 2 plays, the first play and the last play, over 20 yards in the entire game, so we played extremely well in that regard. They had one drive on us that was a legitimate drive, and then hit the trick play. So played well enough to win in that regard, and kept the pressure on them and went to 31-3. Things were in hand. Offensively, one thing that we're doing is score more effectively in the red zone, other than the one. We had one field goal at the end of the half, and then we had the drive where we threw the interception. But 4 TDs in the red zone, ran the ball. I thought better, but we still need to break the big runs. We ran the ball consistently, I would say, almost 40 times for whatever it was, 100. Pure run stats. 144 yards on 39 pure carries. That takes out the scrambles. But I still think we got to pop the big one. So we didn't have as many explosive plays. Obviously, losing Cody White, it hurts us. But he'll get back later in the season. And special teams-wise, punted more effectively. I felt, even though we were rugbying it a little bit, and lost the onside kick, and had the end of the game situations with the couple kickoff returns. Had 2 big kickoff returns and a punt return ourselves, so did well in that area. But I'll just take some questions. But we go to 3-1, game's in hand. Basically, the fourth quarter makes it close. Great drive by our offense at the end of the game, sort of running out the last 6 minutes plus of the game, and so we go to 3-1.
Mark, Matt Charbonneau from the Detroit News. I know you don't want to talk specifically about injuries, but I guess I'm asking more in terms of, especially offensively, looking for that rhythm, that consistency, that cohesion, I guess you could say. How difficult is it when you're dealing just with the number of injuries you've had, whether it's at receiver or on the offensive line? How difficult is that to find that consistency?
It's not. It would be easier not having to deal with that. But I've never gone and made excuses. We've got. Sometimes when new guys get an opportunity to play, that I've said this over and over, that increases the overall strength of our team, because we'll get those guys back. They're not season-ending injuries. A lot of them back this week. We were missing 3 wide receivers, and then when Cody went out, we were missing 4 of our top 6 wide receivers. That's a problem, as you can imagine. But it gave an opportunity for a couple other guys. Larice Nelson made a couple plays. I thought Brandon Sowers made a couple. Then when you look at the offensive line, we're juggling people around. We need to play all of our guys in there, and we got to play more effectively. But again, I will point out again, it's not always the offensive line. It's sometimes the running back's vision. Sometimes it's they got too many men's, as I would used to say, and as Coach Saban used to say, too many men's at the point of attack. And then other times it's a wide receiver block, that would probably springs the screen pass for a touchdown, but the wide receiver doesn't get his block. It's an easy block. He's got to get it. Second run, our corners are making tackles or whatever, safeties. So, this is an all-encompassing game. But yeah, when you lose guys, Josh Butler didn't play a corner. We'd had some guys not playing, but such is life.
Hey, Mark, it's Matt with Matt Lenz with MLive. As far as Cody's concerned, for a guy who was coming off a big year, was performing pretty well so far this year. I don't know, for an injury that's not kind, I don't know how many he's dealt with in his career, but what was just the reaction you saw from him dealing with the news that he's going to be out for at least a little while for a young player taking that kind of injury at this point?
You look up about Cody White, or who were you talking about?
Yeah, I just meant for a young guy who was coming off a big year and was performing.
He's having a great year for us. He had a big year last year for us as a freshman. He's a true sophomore. I think he's got big play potential. He made a big play on Saturday, on the first touchdown, catching a vertical route. But we'll have to pick it up. We'll have to somebody else in there. But yeah, it's a tough situation for him. But he's a resilient young man. I mean, he's always handled things, and he'll handle this as well. And we'll get him back.
Mark, Chris Solari here. Kind of a two-part hand-in-hand question here. I guess why Trey Person over Shakur Brown yesterday? Was it an injury situation with Trey with Shakur, and also how did you see when you look back? Did Trey look at cornerback?
I thought Trey played pretty well, with the exception of the very last play, the double pass when he just didn't cover the guy. He played very well. He played rather than Shaq because, quite honestly, Shaq needed a little attitude adjustment. So we took care of that. But Trey played well, tackles well. He's got good ball skills. He's fluid. I think he played. I don't think he's used to playing about 60 plays or 57 plays, but and he plays on special teams too. So but I thought again, there's another example of a guy playing that hasn't played much for us, but he played well. He's a good player. Tackled very effectively.
And you talk about all the injuries on the offensive side. I mean, that cornerback has been pretty tested. I mean, do you have any timetable on Josiah at all? Do you feel like he's getting closer?
Josiah, okay, so you want me to let the cat out of the bag? Josiah Scott had a meniscus injury, all right? Usually you can clip out a meniscus and your guy's back in 2 weeks. That hurts the overall health of the individual long term. If you can repair a meniscus, then it's usually a 2 to 3 month deal, okay? But it's the very best for his overall health long term for his knee. And this was a situation where he had the ability to be repaired, so we used that option, obviously, to repair it. So he's coming along, months, is it 3 months? It's somewhere in there, it's really depending on how fast he heals, but I would expect him, it's been 2 months almost, so I would expect him to start to move around, and we'll see how he's doing.
Graham Couch here from the Lansing State Journal. With Josiah, then, could it be a scenario where, in the best case scenario, because he played as a true freshman, you could use him for the final 4 weeks, perhaps, and get that and keep the year?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's always a possibility. You want to make sure that, again, that he's healthy enough to play at 100%. Still has to sit the 1 half game too, so that'll be a factor in it as well. But he'll be able to do that. Play scarcely or partly in his first game back if we choose to. That'll be one of his 4, though.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Any others, guys?
I would think it would. I don't know. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
Mark, I want to kind of just overall with the pass defense in this game, it seemed like outside of those 2 trick plays, you guys played a lot better in pass coverage. I guess, did you see a lot looking back of what you wanted to get out of the pass defense against that team?
I thought we played pretty well, really, other than the 2 trick plays, which you have to count those. I mean, 2 of them they're well executed trick plays, but I would think that we should defend them. And then the one cut down towards the end where, on a corner route, sort of on a stacked receiver deal, we played very well. We averaged less than 5 yards in an attempt in terms of, pass. And anytime you average less than 5 yards per attempt, they threw the ball 47 times for 217 yards. You have an effective pass defense, I would think. So that's including the 2 big plays. So you throw those out, we played very effectively. Had 2 interceptions, pressured the quarterback. He got out. and scrambled, 6 times, and we sacked him 3. So it was under some duress, and we need to continue to do that. I'm looking at our stat sheet here, and they ran the ball 11 pure times for 25 yards. So we're playing extremely well against the run, probably as good against the run as we've ever have. But we will be challenged here in these next weeks to come.
Mark, this is Hondo. With a 30-year season done, can you tell me what has surprised you most this year?
Sometimes you think you'd be a little farther along in closeout games. It's always, I continue to say it's not easy to win, but you look around the country, and that's just the state of everybody's situation. I mean, it's very difficult to win football games. Everybody comes prepared. Everybody puts stress on you with different defenses and different offenses and concepts and formations. And then, you throw the special teams in there. People are working extremely hard at that. And we're no different. We work extremely hard at it. But it's a game of execution. It's a game of repetition. And so if you're running something as simple as an inside zone, everybody's got to get their guy and get up to the backers and, that type of thing. But so we'll try and keep moving in the same direction. But I guess that's what I would say. The expectations are very high here, which I believe that they should be. I don't think we played our best football game yet, and we're 4 games in. We played pretty good in spurts, but we haven't hit on all cylinders. So we'll look forward to that challenge the next 4 weeks.
We got time for a couple more if you have any.
Hey, Mark, Jim Comparoni here. Panashuk and Raekwon Williams inside, they've come along a lot over the tandem to help that run defense. Have they hit that next gear this year in terms of pressing that pocket and pass rush, which has helped the overall defense also? Have you seen that make some strides with your interior press in the pocket this year?
Yeah, I think all 4 of those guys in there, Naquan Jones and then also Gerald Owens, have been very good. But the first 2 you talked about have been the most consistent. They both had outstanding springs. You got to remember Mike Panashuk going back to the opening. I think had the bench press record coming out of there as a high school senior. What he bench pressed 225, 36 times as a high school senior, or going into his senior year, something like that. So got his weight down from his freshman year. Played very well last year as well. He understands the game at a much higher level. Understands pressure. He's extremely strong and quick. He's down to 285, 290, 295, so his weight's down. He's much quicker. He understands the game. Raekwon, same thing. Playing it very effectively in there and very difficult to block. Those other guys are playing well as well.
I was just wondering what you saw from Brian's interception after you were able to watch it back. It looked like, I believe it was Welch who was coming across on the jet motion and ended up being uncovered. Should that have been an earlier read for him, or was he right to go where he went with the ball on that play and everything?
I think that Felton was breaking clean in there at the end of it. Got a little tug maybe, but those types of things are going to happen from the defensive. You gotta remember, Andre was open, but his initial read takes him back to where he went, and remember now Andre Welch has now played very much, and Felton Davis and Cody White are the 2 guys that he's been throwing the ball to a lot. So I think he picked the guys that he had confidence in, quite honestly. And you got a lot of decisions to make right there. And as I said at the press conference yesterday, we play these games one at a time. He had 1 pick. I thought Brian, he made a lot of plays in the game on Saturday, throwing the ball out hot with his legs. Had a huge scramble a couple times for big first downs. He had 2 touchdown runs, so thought he played pretty well. And then he had some big plays that last drive to sort of put it out of touch in the last 6 minutes. But I'm sure you always want to have a couple back, and given the situation, I'm sure he would have rather dumped it off because he was clean. He was open, but it is sort of what it is.